I am going to take you start to finish on how to get the Epson 2100, the DTG and DTF printer set up from start to finish. So this thing looks a little more intimidating than it actually is. The setup will probably take you, I don't know, under 2 hours to get everything from the software all the way out of unboxing, all the way till you're ready for your very first print. And I am going to be there with you every step of the way. Now, there are a couple of really important steps, one of which, if you make the wrong setting on your printer, will just derail the whole thing. So go through this very carefully and very slowly so that you are making sure that you get this printer set up exactly how you need to so that you get the best possible DTF and DTG prints. The first time that you're setting up the Epson F2100, you are going to go to www.epson.com/F2100. And this will bring you to the support page for this printer. But more importantly, it's going to bring you to where you can download the software for the printer. So the first thing that you want to do is click support. Now, the 2100 is compatible with both Mac and PC, which is great. There are not a lot of options for Mac users, specifically for DTF. So it's really nice that the Epson F2100 is compatible with both Mac and PC. Now, right here where it says operating system, it's going to automatically detect what you're using. But if you want to pick something else because it's not detecting it correctly, you can go ahead through the drop down. So for Mac users, if you just expand utilities here, you will have the 3 options. So the one that you want to focus on is this one here where it says Epson Garment Creator. You don't need the configuration utility and you don't need the dashboard. And this is everything that you need. Now, for Windows users, I'm just going to show you that really quickly. For Windows users, you are going to have to install the driver and utilities as well. So you are going to want to go under recommended for you. You're going to want drivers and utility combo pack. So that is multiple things that need to be downloaded and installed. So you'll just go through downloads and then you will continue through the process that way. Mac users, I will show you again, you will click downloads. This is going to put the system or the setup initiation right onto your computer. See here, this is what it'll look like. And then you will double click that and that will launch the installation. This takes just a minute or 2. Now, once you have downloaded and installed Garment Creator, and if you're on the PC side, the utility and drivers, then you can go ahead and launch the Garment Creator. Okay, so I'm just going to find it on my computer real quick here. There are a couple of settings that you need to set the very first time that you launch the software. Now, one of the things that is really important and good to know is that you can use the software without being connected to the printer. The other thing that you can do is, so because of that, you can actually download the software and start getting it prepared or getting used to it before you even have the printer. Okay, so you can get to this point never having been connected to the 2100. Now, the very first thing that you want to do, whether you are on a PC or a Mac, is you need to go into the configuration and you need to set that you are using the 2100. So for PC users, you are going to have an extra menu at the top here that's going to say utility. That's going to say options. You're going to have an options menu. Under the options menu, you are going to have what's called configuration. The Mac users, which I am on a Mac right now, the configuration is under Garment Creator configuration. It can also be found in this little tool here on the top toolbar. So whichever way you get to the configuration settings, whether that's through the options menu on a PC or the Garment Creator configuration menu on a Mac, everyone will end up in this same window. Now, in environment, you are going to, by default, it says it's for the F2000. We need the 2100. So we're going to set 2100. Make sure you set that. Don't do anything else on this screen. Now move to the grid print area, and you want to change print quality to 5. So if it's on anything but 5, change it to 5. Okay, and then if you want to change your unit of measurement, let's say you want to use metric, you can go ahead and do that. Or if you want to use inches, that's there as well. Okay, so now you're going to click OK. Now, because we changed the configuration of the software to indicate that we are using an F2100 and not the 2000 series, we need to relaunch the software program. Okay, so what you're going to do, just exit, close out, and then restart the software. Okay, this is very important because if you don't restart the software here, it is not going to pick up the changes that you created, and you will be missing options in some of the settings. All right, now the software is installed. However, we also need to unlock the DTF settings. And because that came after the DTG, we have to do that a little bit separately. So that's also going to be on the software page. You're just gonna go in and download that. It will be there. And that will unlock, there's only 1 or 2 quick settings that you are going to need to do differently when you are setting up for DTF versus DTG in Garment Creator. When the printer comes, it comes in a gigantic box, okay? The box is about 300 pounds. The printer is not nearly that big, but you are going to need at least 3 people who can lift a lot to get the printer and the rest of the contents of the box out of the box, okay? So I'm not going to say you need 3 men, but you are going to need 3 people with some heavy lifting abilities. Okay, when you are lifting the printer, you only want to lift it from the areas where it has these little arrows that indicate it's a handle, okay? And now, I should mention to you, if you need to turn the printer to fit through a doorway because it is wide and it won't fit through a standard doorway when it's in its correct position, you will need to tilt it. You need to tilt it to the home side, which looking at the printer means tilting it so that the left side goes to the top. What this is going to do is keep the print head on where it's homed on the right side. Is going to keep it there and prevent it from sliding down when you tilt the printer. So of course you want to do this extremely carefully, but I do want you to know that you need to turn it to the basically so that the left side goes up and the area with the platen will then be basically on the left side itself, okay? And then you're gonna place it on a stand. Now there are stands out there specifically for the Epson 2100. There is also this table, which is what I have. It's 24 inches wide. I'm going to link to the table in the description. It's 24 inches wide by about 5 feet, and it fits perfectly. The whole printer does not need to be sitting on the table. There's actually 3 different sets of feet on the underside, and that fits perfectly on a 24-inch wide table. Okay, so once you have the printer out of the box and all of the packing material, and there is a lot of it, out of the box, you are going to see that you have some tape and packing material on your printer. So once you have it on a table, you now are going to want to take off all of this blue tape and extra packing. Do this very carefully, especially on the print head. It's around there pretty tightly so that it doesn't move. So just be careful that you don't yank it off of there.
You are also going to remove the carriage lock, which is really just used for shipping. So just take that and tape it to the front of the carriage so that you have it if you need it for the future.
Okay, the next thing that you're going to want to do is take the power cord, connect the power cord from the printer itself into an outlet. Okay, do not power on the computer yet. Okay. Now, inside the box, you will also have 2 wire frame holders. These just snap in to the front of the carriage, and that is what the frame is going to be able to hang on. Okay, so you do want to make sure that the front of the printer is hanging basically forward of the table that it's on so that your frame can hang down. Okay, then you're going to carefully place the platen into place. It can go in either direction. They're dimensional, so it doesn't matter. There's not a specific front or back. I do want to make sure that you know that when you are cleaning this platen, it is not glass. So you do not, it's a type of plastic. You do not want to use Windex to clean the Platen. Just use a nice clean rag to wipe it off when you need to clean it. You can actually do a nozzle check directly on the Platen, okay? But don't use any type of Windex because that could cause cracking, it could cause cloudiness and other issues. You want to make sure for sure you don't do that. The next thing that you want to do is unpack the waste tank bottle and the waste tank bottle holder. The waste tank bottle goes into the holder. Now, ideally, the holder is connected to the table or the stand where your printer is so that it can all move as one unit. Otherwise, the tubing can kind of be pulled out of either the printer or the waste tank if you end up moving the position of your printer. So you use some kind of tape or something like that to attach the waste tank holder onto the base of your table or your stand. Okay, it can be placed on the floor, but just be aware that if you move your table away, you want to take everything with you. All right, now on either side, on the back, you're going to see these two black nozzles. They both have caps on them. So you're going to take the caps off, okay? This is going to expose the white nozzles. This is where the ink is going to empty out and where you want to connect the tubing so that there's a piece of tubing that looks like a big Y. You want to connect the two basically top pieces of the Y, one to each side of one to each nozzle on each side. Now, you cannot have really any slack in the tubing because what happens is when the ink comes down, then it will sink the tube. And if the tube ends up going back up in any direction, the ink can't flow down into the waste tank. So you do want to make sure that everything is kind of going downhill. And don't be afraid to trim the tubing if you need to. I had to trim about maybe 8 or 9 inches off of one side to make sure that the tubing kind of all came down into a spot. There are some little white clips that are also included that you can push in. There's a little spot basically right underneath the nozzles that the tubes can clip into and kind of help guide them. All right, then you are going to want the bottom part of the tubing, basically the bottom Y, you will also maybe need to clip. What you want to do is make it so that it's the height or the length, so it falls about an inch higher than the bottom of the waste tank bottle. You don't want it hitting the bottom of the waste tank bottle because then the ink might get sucked back up, but you do want to make sure that it's about an inch from the bottom. Okay, once all of that is set up, now you are going to press the power button on the front of the printer, and this is going to power it on. There are a couple of on-screen prompts. They will ask you, do you want English or what language do you want? They're going to have you set the time. Then there is going to be a prompt that is extremely important. If it's the mode select, with the mode select, you absolutely must pick the option for white ink / color option. If you do not pick that option and instead pick high speed, this is non-reversible and your printer will not print white. Do not pick high speed mode. You absolutely have to pick white ink option. And again, this decision here is non-reversible. So when you select the mode, you cannot go back and change it later, okay? So I can't stress that enough. That's extremely important. Now, the next thing that it's going to do after you confirm that you are picking white ink color option is you are going to prepare to put in the inks. Now, it's cartridge inks. They charge automatically. So unpack your inks if you haven't already and make sure you shake them very well. The white specifically needs to be shaken a lot. Don't shake too vigorously because you don't want to get too much air or air bubbles in the ink itself, but you do need to shake it to mix it up so that there's no settlement in there, okay? Now there are 2 doors on either side of the Platen carriage. Each side is where you're going to insert the inks. There are 2 sets of stickers on there to tell you which colors go where. You want to look at the top row of stickers, okay? So you want to make sure that on the left side you have white, yellow, And on the right side, you have magenta, cyan, black, clear. So from left to right, you have white, white, yellow, magenta, cyan, black, clear. So yes, the clear cartridge goes in as well, all right? Now, you're gonna push each cartridge in to its correct slot until you hear it click, okay? That's where there's a little needle that'll kind of pop a cover on the cartridge, and that's how the ink will come out of the cartridge and into the printer. No. Again, keep following the on-screen prompts, but you're going to close the covers, and that is going to begin the ink charging process. So it's going to ask you a couple of things. One, have you set up your waste tank? And you have, because during the charging process, ink is going to be pulled through the lines, and there is some waste that will go into the tank. Be aware that the cartridges that come with the 2100 are starter cartridges, and you will use a good amount of that to fill the lines and the dampers during this initiation process. So it's a really good idea to have extra ink on hand because you'll need it. You know, you can maybe do a handful of jobs after the initial setup, but you will need more full-size inks shortly thereafter. The ink charging will not actually start until you take one final step, and that is removing the dust cap. That's this little like gray looking cap towards the left side under the cover. You're going to open up the cover and remove the dust cap, and then you need to put the ink charging unit, sometimes it's called a primer cap, in there. That just lets it breathe, specifically the white during the charging. This is included with the 2100, and as soon as you're done using it, it's disposable. It's a one-time use item. It's not even available as a replacement piece because you don't need it after the initial charging. So from here, you're gonna wait until the ink charges. This takes about 30 to 35 minutes, and it actually will give you a progress on the screen of your printer. Okay, so once the charging is all done, it will tell you that the ink charging is complete and you are finally ready to print. So, not too bad, right? Okay, so the first thing that you want to do before you actually go and print, you need to do a print nozzle check. So, the cool thing about this is you can actually do it directly on the Platen. Now, you want to do your ink nozzle check on a level of 1 or on a level of P. But you need to adjust the height of the Platen, which is done from underneath. And when you are doing the nozzle check, you want to do it on a P. We want to push this top one back to a P, to the P. Okay, so you could also be on 1 if you want, but we'll set this to P, all right? All right, then we are going to go to the maintenance menu on the home screen here on the touch screen. It's not actually a touch screen, but we're gonna go on the screen here and we're gonna tell it that we want to do a nozzle check, okay? So we will press menu. This is telling me to wait, so I'm just gonna wait. But once the Platen moves in, then we are going to go through the maintenance menu. Okay, so you can see here on the dial, hitting the right arrow will bring us to the menu. The very first option is maintenance. So we're not going to click OK because down here it says to click proceed. We need to click the arrow. So we're going to click that. And then under the maintenance menu, the very first thing, because the most common thing you'll be doing from this menu is the nozzle check. So we will click nozzle check. And then it's asking us, do you want to print a nozzle check? And our answer is going to be okay. Now it's saying to place paper. Again, not necessary. We're just going to hit okay and we'll do it right on here. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you are not going to use any type of Windex or anything when you are cleaning off your Platen. So after you print directly on it, just use a clean towel or paper towel and you'll be able to wipe off the ink directly on there. But what you're looking for, you're probably familiar with nozzle checks, but what you're looking for is to make sure that there are no broken areas or missing nozzles. Okay, so you can see that we have black, cyan, black, yellow, all the white, because there's two full channels of white. There's 2 cartridges of white, magenta, and cyan. all right? So we have one missing nozzle there, but I'm not gonna worry about that because it's just the one. It's probably just an air bubble. So this looks pretty good. So from here, I'm just gonna wipe this off and we will be ready to go with our print head alignment. Okay, so the print head alignment is next. The print head alignment is something that you really probably only need to do once unless you're having like some type of issue. So I've already done it, so I don't want to do it again. It can cause, you know, wear and tear on your print head, so I don't want to have to do it again, but I'm going to show you how to get through the process. Right, so again, we will go through the menu. This time when we click the menu, we are gonna go down to printer setup. So as I mentioned, this is stuff that you only really need to do at setup, but I've already done this step, so I'm not going to fully do it again. But we get to printer setup and then we're gonna click proceed. And then we wanna do head alignment, okay? So that's the top option there. And I am going to click proceed. It is going to give you 3 options. That's extra small, 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 medium, or large, sleeve, or MG. So to be honest, I don't know what MG stands for, but what it's asking you is what size platen are you using. So your Epson 2100 comes with the medium platen, so you just want to select that first option there. And then you are going to want to click OK because it's telling you if you press OK, this is going to overwrite the head alignment, the default settings. Now, what it's going to do is you are going to put a piece of paper down for the alignment check. Okay, so you'll put a piece of white, like just printer paper, down on here. You can tape it down at the top and the bottom, and it will instruct you to go through the steps to push the tray in, and it will print on it. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to print out 2 rows of squares. They're each going to be numbered, okay? Probably 1 to 7. Sometimes it changes a little bit, but you're going to examine the squares afterwards, and you're going to look at the top row. You're going to say which of these rows is the cleanest, meaning which of the squares is the most solid. So if you have a square that is blue or black and doesn't have any like lines in it, that's perfect. But don't expect that you are going to have something that doesn't have anything. Usually there's at least a teeny little one. So you are going to look at the square that has the smallest amount of little white lines in it, and you are going to select that number. So let's say in this case it's 7. So we would go back to the menu when it asks us in the top row what is the best square. You will tab up until you click 7 or whatever your number is. Then after you click 7, it's going to ask you about the bottom row. So you're going to look at the bottom row. What number there is the best one, okay? And then you're going to select that number on your screen as well, and that's going, it will prompt you to follow through. It might ask you to do another nozzle check, so if you want to, you know, look at it, but that is how, or not another nozzle check, another alignment, but that is how you are going to do the printer alignment. Again, that's not something that you're going to have to routinely do, but that is how you are going to do it through the print setup menu. All right, so that's it. You are now ready for your very first print, whether you decide that's going to be a DTG or DTF. So your Epson 2100, the maintenance on this is pretty, I wouldn't say easy, but as far as these types of printers that have white, it's on the easier side. What's also great is you get this comes with your printer. It tells you exactly what type of maintenance you need to do with a very easy to follow schedule. So for example, on a daily basis, you're going to do all these things in green, which include shaking the white, a nozzle check. You want to do that every day before you print. And then a print head cleaning cycle, which happens automatically. Weekly, you want to do a suction cap cleaning. Not sure what that means? Just go right here to the yellow, which correlates with what's on this page, and it will walk you through. So maintenance is not something you need to be afraid of with this printer. Everything that's needed for maintenance comes with it, including the step-by-step guide and schedule. All right, you guys, I'm excited for you to get started with your 2100. I'm going to have lots of other videos as well to help you along the way. The software is really fun and easy to use, and the printer prints out really, really great quality. So I can't wait to see what you're doing. Make sure you check out the rest of the videos that I have on the 2100, and if you're looking for where I recommend to get the Epson 2100 and all the supplies and things that you might need with it, including a heat press, a curing oven if you're going to do DTF, Check the links below. I highly recommend Swing Design, but all of the links for what I would consider the best bundles and supplies and everything that you need are in the description. All right, you guys, I'll see you soon.